Shifting focus to our top story, the Jammu and Kashmir police have been closely tracking Kashmiri students going to Pakistan for higher education, and that too on the recommendation of pro-Pakistan Hurriyat hawk Syed Ali Shah Gilani. Now the findings were made public by Dilbagh Singh, Director General of the Jammu and Kashmir Police. He says between 2017 and 18, 57 Kashmiri students who went across for higher education or on tourist visa. 17 came back with weapons. 17 of them, incidentally, were killed in encounters, multiple encounters with Jammu and Kashmir police and the army. 13 are armed terrorists at large in Kashmir Valley even today. India Today's Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu brings you our top story.
The killing of Shopia boy Ramiz Ahmed Tantre in an encounter in Thana Mandi, Rajouri district has once again brought the spotlight on Kashmiri youth drawn by Pakistan to join terror ranks under the guise of a student visa. According to Dilbagh Singh, DGP Jammu and Kashmir, Tantre had gone to Pakistan on a valid Indian passport in 2018 on a student visa. 3 years later, he was infiltrating illegally into India with weapons, a fully trained and armed terrorist.
कुछ 57 के करीब ऐसे लोग हैं जो अलग-अलग टाइम से खासतौर पे 17, 18 और 19 में वैलिड डॉक्यूमेंट्स के ऊपर अटारी बॉर्डर से पाकिस्तान गए और हैरानी की बात ये कि वापस लौटे तो ट्रेनिंग लेके दहशतगर्दी कैंपों के ऊपर ट्रेनिंग हुई, वहां से एम्यूनिशन लेके आए.
Tantre is not an isolated case. According to data collected by Jammu Kashmir Police in 2017 and 18, 57 Kashmiri students went on student visa. 17 Kashmiri students returned with weapons and killed in encounters. 13 Kashmiri students are active armed terrorists in the valley. 17 students are in terror training camps in Pakistan. 10 others are being monitored by Jammu Kashmir Police.
उन 57 के अंदर अभी तक 17 लोग ऐसे हैं जो अलग-अलग एनकाउंटर्स में अभी तक मारे गए हैं. उनमें से 13 लोग ऐसे हैं जो अभी एक्टिव हैं और अलग-अलग मिलिटेंट आउटफिट्स के साथ काम कर रहे हैं, खासतौर पे अलबदर, हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन और लश्कर के साथ. और हाल ही में जो 2 एनकाउंटर हुए एक हफ्ते के अंदर बांडीपुर और रजौरी में, उसमें 3 दहशतगर्द ऐसे मारे गए जो वैलिड डॉक्यूमेंट पे गए थे 18 में और अभी लौट करके आए.
According to Jammu Kashmir Police, several students have gone on the recommendation of Hurriyat leaders, including Syed Ali Shah Gilani, on scholarship to study medicine and engineering. They end up being sent to terror camps of LET and Jaish-e-Mohammed in POK and Pakistan's Punjab province.
People, stooges operating within Kashmir Valley, sort of misleading people to join terrorist ranks, have also been successful, and a sizable number of people have gone in and joined terrorist ranks.
The information is that 70 youth in Kashmir have joined the terror ranks. The aim of the police is to eliminate the Pakistani leadership of the terror groups and wean away local youth with the help of their families and friends.
Several of these terrorists have now been killed in counter-terror operations. What is also significant is that the government has been trying to tighten the noose, especially on stone pelters and anti-national. But these are always newer tricks around the corner for which the government agencies have to watch out for. With camera person Kirpal Singh, this is Kamaljeet Sandhu in Udhampur and Jammu for India Today.
So Kashmiri students go to Pakistani universities to study medicine or engineering or go on a tourist visa and then end up being indoctrinated, sent to terror training camps of terrorists like Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar, and then they try to infiltrate with weapons and they bring Pakistani terrorists along with them. Bizarre as it may sound, it's actually happening. The question is, why is it even permitted? They're going to Pakistan to study. Why are they sent to Pakistan? What do they study in Pakistan? Joining me on India First is SP Vaid, former Director General of the Jammu and Kashmir Police. RP Singh is a spokesperson and leader of the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. And Iftikhar Misgar is a political analyst who joins us from the Kashmir Valley. And Iftikhar Misgar, if I may, do students actually go to Pakistan to study medicine Or is Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani giving recommendation for admission to Pakistan's colleges only in name? The real recommendation is that they are being sent to some madrasa of terror run by Professor Hafiz Saeed or some terrorist training camp run by that Maulana of terror, Masood Azhar.
See, Gaurav, when you said that they are carrying with themselves the valid documents, who is giving them? Is that, shall I understand that the security labs, it's the agency labs, it's the labs of the CID who does groundwork before giving you the documents, the valid documents to travel across other country? We should raise the finger towards our system first. See, other countries doing it since decades, and we are all aware of it. But who is to be held responsible? I am afraid that this government is not taking anything on their shoulders. They are always meant to put everything on Pakistan and other things. I am very much concerned if there can be two things. One, give dog a bad name and kill him. If you want that Kashmiri students who are studying MBBS in Pakistan, you don't want to get them to continue their studies in Pakistan. That is one. If it's true and it's the fact on the ground level, then the lapse is somewhere within our own system.
Well, let me get both RP Singh and Mr. SP Ved to respond to a very valid point that you've raised on the broadcast. RP Singh, please explain this to us. Why are students permitted to go to Pakistan to study medicine or engineering, and then they end up as terrorists there? Armed terrorists, 17 killed, 13 at large, 17 still studying, and several unaccounted for.
Well, Gaurav, the gentleman was speaking before me on the panel. I expected him at least to say a word against Pakistan. That Pakistan is the factory of terror, where he calls people to become doctor of terror, not doctor in anatomy. But that's how the narrative is with these people. Not a word against Pakistan. All fault lies with India. Everything is India is sending them to.
But in this case, you will admit, sir, the fault lies with our system. Who is to blame for this? And why is this happening?
Gaurav, let's understand what was happening. The recommendations were given by the state government. Recommendations were given by the people who were there in the state, and on that basis, they were going for further study.
To Pakistan? Study what in Pakistan? What can any sane person study in an insane country like Pakistan?
Thank you. 2017-18, sir. I'm sorry. You are not right to that date also. 2017-18. You can keep defending Pakistan. I'm shocked. He's still defending Pakistan. He has not, and they will never utter a word against Pakistan because it suits them. But I admit, yes, this agency should get into more details. That's why this year the people who have applied for are not being allowed to go. They are not being allowed to go, and they are being scrutinized before they have to go there. But the fact is that Pakistan is running a terror factory. Pakistan is running a university of terror. You rightly said Masood Azhar and Hafiz Saeed are the principals.
Sir, but this is known for decades. Why was this even permitted in the first place? And your government has been in power now for 7 years. Mr. Ved, how long has this racket been on that Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani sends a recommendation letter to Pakistan High Commission to give visas to Kashmiri students to study at the Oxbridge of Terror, ostensibly to study medicine? Why is this even permitted, sir? How long has this been on?
As far as my knowledge goes, it has been going on for many years. Pakistan can teach only what it specializes in, and that is terrorism, known all over the world. And the gullible boys of Kashmir, who are desperate to seek admissions in medical and engineering colleges, do fall prey, and they feel it was much easier to get a letter from Hurriyat leader Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani or somebody else influential who can get them visa in Kashmir, Pakistan embassy in Delhi, and admission in a Pakistani university. And it's also a hawala racket. This money, which is taken for admission in the university or a medical college or engineering college in Pakistan, is also used to fund terrorism. So it is a both-way cutting sword. So these boys, once they reach Pakistan, they are then brainwashed. Rather than teaching them medicine, engineering, or other subjects, they are brainwashed and then they are made terrorists and sent back through infiltration, because Pakistan over the years is finding it difficult to exfiltrate, get the boys from Kashmir Valley in Pakistan because of tightening of control of the Indian Army and the BSF on the border.
No, but what's the point of having the Indian Army and BSF at our borders when you have government of India granting passports for them to get visas to go to Pakistan? Pakistan High Commission may give visa, but why are such elements given a passport in the first place to study medicine in Pakistan or to study engineering in Pakistan? Iftikhar Misgar, if I may, you're absolutely right. You know, whether it's the Jammu and Kashmir Police or the Ministry of Home Affairs at the center or the Ministry of External Affairs, somewhere down the line, system needs to tighten itself. But why would students want to study in Pakistan anyways, unless they want to pick up weapons? They've been indoctrinated enough to pick up weapons and then come back. So this is just a ruse. This is just a ploy to study medicine. They're actually studying in the terror factories of Pakistan.
See, Gaurav, this should have been monitored in the first attempt. Like if you're sending your boy, your son to some other country, either he has the certificate or something, he has passed or qualified some examination, or if he's paying donation out of the pocket, then you must see that where this money goes. See, the gentleman from Bharatiya Janata Party was telling me, say a single word against Pakistan. See, when the problem lies within my own system, why should I hang around to a country which has always stood against us and against our system? So there is no question of raising fingers and making the question like which carries no weight and which carries no value. If a person is coming, then afterwards, if a person is coming with a weapon, how is he coming with a weapon? Either he's coming via air or via by train. So what are we up to? This is something disgusting.
But what is equally disgusting is the indoctrination of Kashmiri youth who want to study in Pakistan and their parents permitting them. That is equally disgusting, and your not calling that out is equally a cause for concern. I mean, would you want Kashmiri youth to become cannon fodder at the hands of these jihadists in Pakistan?
Way. No ways, Gaurav.
But that is happening.
No ways. Please allow me, Gaurav, 10 seconds. I'll reply to your question.
You must, because the indoctrination of Kashmiri youth is a cause for grave concern.
No parent will allow or will wish that his son will die as a terrorist, or he will take up arms.
Unfortunately, the level of indoctrination has been so bad that we've actually heard some parents say some very bizarre things also. And we've heard some brothers say some very bizarre things also. If that is changing, I'm very glad it is changing. But if it isn't, it's a cause for concern for Kashmiri society. That when you talk about Kashmiriyat, that Kashmiriyat should be visible. That Kashmiriyat should not become Hevaniyat that we are seeing. But Mr. Ved, somewhere down the line, our system appears to be rather rotten. Rotten system in Jammu and Kashmir and in Delhi. The way separatists like Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani has the influence to send Kashmiri students into Pakistan. Pakistan is empowering Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani and government of India is enabling it. It's ridiculous that on his recommendation, people can get a scholarship or an education visa to go to Pakistan to study medicine. We might as well open Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed training camps in our country, sir.
Yes, Gaurav, I agree with you. There are problems within our system. Otherwise, it would not have been possible for Pakistan to do it. Though visa is given by Pakistan embassy, but I think closer surveillance was required to be kept on all such people going to Pakistan, and very strict vigilance is required. And even issuing a visa, issuing a passport at the first place should have been after proper verification of such people. Do they have inclination towards that joining terrorism, or do they have some relatives or their peer group working as a terrorist? So all these things, I think, need to be improved upon before we blame Pakistan. I agree.
And without fear of favor, crack down on such elements. And RP is saying your government has been in power. Iftikhar Misgar rightly raises that point. Your party was in power with Mehbooba Mufti, and it's the central administration that really needs to crack down on these elements, including those who may have come back with medical degrees or engineering degrees. How do you know that they're not overground workers? They haven't been turned and they're enabling cover fire to terrorists.
Gaurav, the amount of work which the local administration in the last 2 years and the local police has done to identify the overground workers and ensuring that action is taken against them, either they are arrested or whatever required action under the acts are taken against them. One, that's why NI has been ongoingly raiding in Valley people who are connected with Jamaat-e-Islamiyya or with other organizations. So the ongoing work is there. But yes, there would have been some lapse. Otherwise, I appreciate that passport should have been issued to such people. But when a student go for a passport, generally a passport is not denied, and especially if they are going for education, it's allowed. But now it has come in force now. That's why the concerned authorities will be more alert in future, ensuring that no such incident happen again. And that's why the now government in Kashmir, the LG of the Kashmir, has not given permission for students to go.
No, Iftikhar Misgar, the basic point is, who in his right mind would want to go to Pakistan for education? What can Pakistan teach except terror, especially to students of India, especially to those who are going from Jammu and Kashmir? Itna basic common sense to Jammu Kashmir mein bhi hona chahiye.
Sir, it's mindset, sir. Whatever has happened, and now you will tell me don't divert the issue. जो अभी जंतर मंतर में हुआ on 8th of August, it's mindset. You cannot stop the mindset of the people who has been initiated since last 14 odd years. So we are destroying this country. Like we are spreading venom everywhere.
No. Okay, you talk about venom. Rest of the country, first talk about the venom that runs through the veins of those who are studying in Pakistan. Those who are going to Pakistan either to study medicine and coming back as armed terrorists. Do you as a Kashmiri? No, sir. Sir, let's call a spade a spade. At least on India First, we call a spade a spade. We should stop. Kashmiri students should stop going to Pakistan for education, whether it's medicine or engineering, because they'll only be indoctrinated in a country like Terroristan, a country that indoctrinates its own people to kill their own people. They will not give medical education or medicine or engineering education to people of India. Itna basic common sense though, whether it's Kashmir or New Delhi, everyone should have.
That is what Home Ministry has to look after.
Oh, so people of Kashmir will not look after. I mean, people like you will not even call it out.
Why should I call it out? See, I'll never get a passport or a visa to visit Pakistan. At least I have never either tried or neither I have any expectation that I may get it someday.
No, but do you concede that if you genuinely care for the future generation of Kashmir, sir, if you genuinely care for the future generation of Kashmiris, that they should not go to Pakistan to study?
I do care, but did that government has cared? When you people are knowing that Raid Ali Shah Gilani was giving the approval to the visa and he was initiating the process, when you were knowing that the lobby behind the initiative was Hurriyat, where are you on 8th of August when
anti-Muslim slogans by
So that justifies going to Pakistan and becoming a terrorist. Sir,
I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you have spoiled this country.
I am so every explanation, every excuse not to criticize Pakistan. But Mr. Ved, is it time, whether it's the administration in Jammu and Kashmir or government of India, when you have Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister, Amit Shah as the Home Minister, and Dr. S. Jaishankar as External Affairs Minister, time to take a concrete decision? Indians will not go to Pakistan for education, because the only education Pakistan can give, whether to its own people or to Indians, is terror.
Absolutely, Gaurav. I would not disagree with you. You are absolutely correct. In fact, this is the time to totally stop not only going of Kashmiri students, even students from rest of India.
Absolutely.
Because they can be as brainwashed as Kashmiri boys, and tomorrow they can be terror cells in Lucknow, in Mumbai or in Kerala. So Pakistan needs to show to the world that it is a homegrown terrorism, which is actually not true. Everything is being orchestrated from Pakistan, and they wanted more and more local boys to pick up guns, and this is one of the many ways they are devising each day to get local boys into terrorist ranks, so that they can show to the world that this is all homegrown terrorism and fighting against government of India, which is Pakistan's ploy. Otherwise, Pakistan's policy is very clear: to stop march of India becoming a global power.
Oh, absolutely. That's clear as day. I mean, it's bizarre just how crazy can our system be. There has to be a limit of not knowing the realities on ground. RP Singh, will you on the broadcast give a commitment that you will take it up with your government to ensure that Indian students, whether from Jammu and Kashmir or the rest of the country, do not go to a state sponsor of terror that India at the United Nations has termed as the Oxbridge of terror, to study education? I mean, we are actually sending our children into harm's way, willingly, knowingly sending our children into harm's way.
100%, Gaurav, and I'm going to tweet right now, after you debate, that yes, no Indian student should be sent to Pakistan for any education, because Pakistan can't give any other education than terrorism. And then we can't afford our
children, whether Kashmiris or otherwise, to be engulfed in, or indoctrinated by the terror factory which is there in Pakistan. We have to ensure that, and then just a caution has to be taken, and that's why the Lieutenant Governor has stalled the process for a while. And then
stalling is not a solution, sir. Stalling is not a solution. Stopping, taking hard action against terror. Look at Pakistan, how it's spreading terror in Afghanistan. That country is on the verge of collapse because of Pakistan. Look at how Pakistan has tried to spread terror in India for the past so many decades. And Iftikhar Misgar, Are sir, aankhein kholo. Look at how Pakistan killed its own children. 150 Pakistan Army children massacred at Army Public School, Peshawar. And Pakistanis are saying that Pakistani terrorists were involved in it. And yet, Kashmiris want to send their children to Pakistan to pick up guns. What kind of a bizarre mindset can this be? I sincerely hope that some sanity returns so that Indians stop going to Pakistan for education. The only education they'll get there is at the terror university of that Maulana of terror, Masood Azhar, and that professor of terror, Hafiz Mohammed Saeed, both incidentally UN designated global terrorists. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining me here on this part of India First, because the threat from Pakistan continues, and please, let's keep our eyes open. There is a massive drone threat at the line of control. The Additional Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police, Mukesh Singh, has told India Today's Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu that ahead of Independence Day, that's 15th of August, they are putting in place an anti-drone mechanism. The threat is at multiple levels. Take a look at this report.
So drones, as far as drones are concerned, they seem to be a major threat. Now, ahead of Independence Day, how are you tackling this? And because we know about the weapon dropping, the IDs being dropped, but how are you seeing this and how is this being countered? Now, we know about the anti-drone, but what is a larger mechanism? Because the border is very vast.
The drone phenomena is something which has been happening for the past 1 year. And a large number of drone sorties have come in sight. Around 40 of them have been counted so far. The good thing is that 25 out of those 40 sorties, the weapons which were dropped, have been intercepted. After the airport incident, the anti-drone technology also is in place at various important vital locations. We are also resorting to intelligence gathering specifically for the purpose of countering the weapons dropped by drone, and that has led us to quite a number of successes. We are hopeful that we will be able to counter any drone threat in the coming future, and we will be able to intercept the weapons which are being supplied by the terrorists.
So at the start of this bulletin, we were telling you about the ground situation in Afghanistan. It's a cause for grave concern. 8 provincial capitals have fallen in the past 7 days. We got you reports of Taliban breaking into the Kandahar prison and the fact that 30,000 people in Afghanistan internally displaced in Kandahar are forced to live in IDP camps or internally displaced persons camps within Afghanistan. This situation is extremely grim at Mazar-e-Sharif. Though Afghanistan's President Ashraf Ghani, he flew into Mazar-e-Sharif to boost the morale of government forces, India has decided to withdraw our diplomats, staff and personnel from the consulate at Mazar.
The sight of war, gunfire and bloodshed mars Afghanistan. The hardline Islamists now claim it has taken control of a helicopter donated by India to Afghanistan forces in Kunduz. Yet another region now falls into the hands of the Taliban. Pulikhumri, the capital of the North Province of Baghlanis, is the 7th regional capital to come under the control of the Taliban in just 1 week. According to the European Union, the Taliban now controls 65% of the country after a string of gains in the recent months. The dire situation has forced the Indian government to intervene. New Delhi wants to pull out Indian nationals from Afghanistan and has issued a security advisory for Indians. As per the advisory, as violence escalates, commercial air travel services to many cities and provinces will be discontinued. All Indian nationals visiting or staying or working in Afghanistan are strongly advised to make immediate travel arrangements. Indian companies operating in Afghanistan are strongly advised to withdraw Indian employees. It is essential that Indian media persons must establish contact with the embassy for better assessment of risks. Around 50 Indian diplomats and their staff have returned Wednesday morning from the Indian consulate in Mazar-e-Sharif. This on the day the Afghanistan President Ghani visited the region to review the security situation. The Taliban, which is rapidly advancing, has bold plans. In an exclusive interview to India Today, a member of the Taliban's negotiations team has said they want to oust the current administration in Kabul.
We are not negotiation to be part of the Kabul administration. The negotiation is to agree on a new government, on a new political roadmap to replace this administration, a government which will be acceptable to all Afghans. That is the solution.
In another worrying report, the US intelligence has warned that Kabul could fall to the resurgent Taliban group within 6 months of them withdrawing troops. With Geeta Mohan, Bureau Report, India Today.